Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans, bringing you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's work and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Yep, I'm WeiryWriter, and I'm here despite the Ghostbloods' efforts to sabotage my presence on this podcast.
That's right. We got 20 minutes into recording this podcast yesterday, and your power goes out again.
Yep.
They didn't want the secrets to come out.
That's right.
You were telling too much.
And then they destroyed that electricity pole.
Yep.
Now all of our
Yeah.
listeners know we're risking life and limb to get the truth out there.
That's right. Okay. Also joining
Life, limb,
Also
just
joining
like
me.
mere displeasure.
Yeah, their introduction.
That's right. Also joining me is Alyx.
Hello, I am the other writer twin, as we call ourselves, FeatherWriter on the forums.
Woo!
And I'm
Woo.
Chaos. And we're going to be talking about the Ghostbloods and the Secret Societies of Roshar today, which let's hope one of our power doesn't go out today doing that, because that
Fingers
would be
crossed.
really annoying, actually.
Yes.
But let's start off with the news. Big news today. Well, maybe not big news, but news today. Skyward Draft 3 is complete.
So it is off to the beta readers.
Yep.
Woo! I'm excited about Skyward. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think so. It's
It's a good concept.
How to Train Your Dragon
With a
meets
star.
Top Gun in space. Like,
I'm
come
in.
on.
Exactly.
That's
What's
a
not
good
to
pitch.
love?
Remember
It's a
that
great
Silence Divine pitch? It was like, whoa, that is long pitch. Whereas this pitch, very simple.
Yeah.
This meets this in space. Doesn't get more basic pitch
I know.
than that.
I know. I'm in. Oh,
And he also, now that he's not working on Skyward at the moment, he's going back to his secret project
yep.
that we still know nothing about,
It's
except
not-
that it's not Cosmere and that he has to work on it.
Yes. And there was some theory that because Magic the Gathering is grabbing a lot of authors for building their lore over this next year, that maybe Brandon is involved in that. As we know, he is very invested in Magic the Gathering.
Yes, I think you would really enjoy being able to work on something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be the year to do it.
He can't.
Yep.
A Stormlight
Well,
year is
from-
not the
He's
year
too
to do it.
busy.
so-
He's too busy otherwise.
That's true. Though from what I understand, like, they're bringing in authors is going to be a initiative going forwards.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you got to be careful to not get Brandon to, I'm writing 40 things now. That would be bad. But it could also maybe be a thing in the Skyward universe. Who knows? Because it's another connected universe. All right, so let's talk about the secret societies before they destroy us.
Very true. I once told a friend that, like, my pitch trying to explain the secret societies, I was like, okay, so Stormlight Archive is a world where the Illuminati are real and there's 10 of them and they all hate each other. So
That's
you don't. There's other stuff going on too, but that's the real point. Of the
oh yeah.
that
right.
is better than Brandon's pitches before The Way of Kings came
Exactly.
out, which were like, well, there's Voidbringers and they fought them a lot. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what this book is.
Yeah,
more
like,
Illuminati. That's all you need.
like at one point the series was named The Oath Shards. And it's like, if you ever go read the pitch from like 2008,
Uh-huh.
it's hilarious because it's like, yeah, I kind of see how that's Stormlight Archive, but like, whoa, that is weird.
Well,
Yeah.
lots of things have changed. It's insane.
Very
there
true.
weren't Spren in Way of
Yeah,
Kings
I know.
Prime. Like,
That's weird.
what? I know.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So, there will be Oathbringer spoilers for this.
Yes.
Very
definitely so.
important. Not too much Ghostbloods in Oathbringer, but we're still going to talk about Oathbringer. So.
Much to my dismay.
I know. So, Ian, why don't you read us this first quote?
Okay. So, Aradel asked how many secret societies were on Roshar. And Brennan said, there are 9 currently working, which I think the operative word is currently.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we have an older word of Brandon that I unfortunately was not able to find.
I know it's real.
Says,
A wob of legend.
it is definitely real. And hopefully it's not the whole shard blades are stored in the spiritual realm, because like that was a debacle from a number of years ago.
I don't even remember that one.
That's a wob where like we were all adamant it existed.
Oh.
There's no
And then no one can find it.
I mean,
No
that was
one can
my
find
theory, you know. But yeah.
Yeah. So this older wob says that there are 10 secret societies on Roshar.
Yeah, I totally remember that being real. That's not a theory, because that older one, like, wait, there's 10 of them? What?
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that, so obviously there were 10. One is no longer around.
Yep.
So that's probably the Invisitors. But we'll get into that a little later
Yep.
on.
Rip them.
Thanks, Taft.
Good work.
Whoops.
Alyx, Mray's your favorite character.
He's not my favorite. He's my second
favorite.
Second favorite.
Sorry,
He's
my
your
favorite
boyfriend.
villain.
Your favorite lover.
That's
Sorry.
true. Renarin is
Sorry.
my son. Mrayz
Yeah.
is my husband. There we go.
All right.
Perfect.
Sorry. This is a different kind of love, okay?
Very, very different.
Very different.
I would hope so.
I would hope so too. Sent a letter to Shallan. Ray sent a letter to Shallan in Oathbringer that basically sums up at least not all of the of these secret societies, but the few that we've seen the most of, really. So
2 of them.
And some important ones. Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it talks about
It
Ghostbloods,
really talks
so
about,
I'm gonna say 3.
vaguely.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
It's
The
about
Ghostbloods
the Ghostbloods.
are included. Right.
But
yes.
why don't you go read this?
Okay. And I will say, Eric tried to get me to do this in my like Mray's voice, and I'm not
I
going to
was
do
very
that. I'm just going to
disappointed.
read it. No, he
Aw,
was disappointed.
boo.
Yes.
I
During
want
the
to hear
last
it in
attempt.
Ray's voice.
I
Yeah.
can't do it. Mray's is hard to do. It's too long. Long one. Okay.
Is he
I'm
hard
just
to
gonna
do,
read
though?
it normal.
It's just practice
Oh
for when
my
you
God.
get to that point with your mother.
That's true. I don't usually do letters in character voice. They're long. Okay, I'm just gonna read it.
Okay.
Okay, here's the
Okay,
letter.
fine.
It says, there are at least 2 major institutions on Roshar other than ourselves, which presaged the return of the Voidbringers and the Desolation. You are familiar with the first of these, the men who call themselves the Sons of Honor. The old king of Alethkar, the Blackthorn's brother, Gavilar Kholin, was a driving force in their expansion. He brought Meridus Amaram into their fold. As you have no doubt discovered upon infiltrating Amaram's mansion in the war camps, the Sons of Honor explicitly worked for the return of the Desolations. They believed that only the Voidbringers would cause the heralds to show themselves, and they believed that a desolation would restore both the Knights Radiant and the classical strength of the Vorin Church. King Gavilar's efforts to rekindle the Desolations are likely the true reason he was assassinated, though there are many in the palace that night who had reason to see him dead. A second group who knew the Desolations might return are the Skybreakers, led by the ancient herald Nalan Ellen, often simply called Nail. The Skybreakers are... Yes, I've given up on Nale, all right? You win. It's Nail.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Requisite pronunciation debate out of the way. for
Great,
sure.
we did it.
Okay. Often simply called Nail, the Skybreakers are the only Order of Radiance that did not betray its oaths during the Recreants. They have maintained a continuous clandestine line from ancient days. Nail believed that men speaking the words of other orders would hasten the return of the Voidbringers. We do not know how this could possibly be true, but as a herald, Nail has access to knowledge and understanding beyond us. You should know that the heralds are no longer to be seen as allies to man. Those that are not completely insane have been broken. Nail himself is ruthless, without pity or mercy. He has spent the last 2 decades, perhaps much longer, dealing with anyone close to bonding a Spren. Sometimes he recruited these people, bonding them to High Spren and making them Skybreakers. Others he eliminated. If the person had already bonded a Spren, then Nail usually went in person to dispatch them. If not, he sent a minion. A minion, like your brother Helaron. Your mother had intimate contact with a Skybreaker acolyte, and you know the result of that relationship. Your brother was recruited because Nell was impressed with him. Nell may have also learned, through means we do not understand, that a member of your house was close to bonding a Spren. If this is true, they came to believe that Helaron was the one they wanted. They recruited him with displays of great power and shards. Helaron had not yet proved himself worthy of a Spren bond. Nail is exacting with his recruits. Likely, Helaron was sent to kill Amaram as a test. Either that, or he took it upon himself as a way of proving his worthiness for knighthood. It is also possible that the Skybreakers knew someone in Amaram's army was close to bonding a Spren, but I believe it likelier that the attack on Amaram was simply a strike against the Sons of Honor. From our spying upon the Skybreakers, we have records showing the only member of Amaram's army to have bonded a Spren was long since eliminated. The Bridgeman was not, so far as we understand, known to them. If he had been, he would have certainly been killed during his months as a slave.
So, just in case you forgot, the unnamed Shardbearer in Way of Kings was Helaran, who went to kill Amaram,
Yes.
but Kaladin killed Helaran instead.
Because he's a boss.
Yep. So, just so I wanted to get everyone on the same page there.
Right. So one of the first things that we kind of noticed, like we were talking before, that there's kind of 3 organizations here, including the Ghostbloods,
right.
And it's a little weird that the diagram is not mentioned.
That's true.
At all.
That is true.
Yes.
Because we're pretty sure Mraize is aware of the, like, I'd be shocked if Mraize was not aware of the diagram.
Yeah.
He is at least
just had a-
somewhat aware.
Yeah.
Because in Words of Radiance, he references Taravangian as the senile old man playing at World Affairs.
Yes. And there is, I believe, a diagram epigraph where Adratagia makes an annotation that she thinks something refers to Mraize. So they're aware of each other, at least, probably.
Well, at least the diagram is aware of Mraize in particular.
Right.
We definitely know that.
Though, I wonder, because there's that particular excerpt has been of much discussion in the fandom that it might not be Mraize, it might be Hoyd.
Yep.
Right.
But,
Yep. I like in this quote that Mraize is just like, yo, I have no idea how Nail would think that the Radiance could make a desolation, which we discussed on our Edge Dancer podcast.
We totally did. I was
And
like,
that's
reassured.
in the outtakes episode, so we had to cut out some info when we talked about Fused.
Mhm.
But we're still really confused as to how
Why
Nail
would you
would
think
ever
that's
think that.
thing?
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, it's obvious. Nail is a wackadoodle.
Well,
like,
right. I mean, that's
Okay,
the obvious
why
answer.
Ishar thought it was a thing and told
Yeah.
Nail
Yes.
to do it. There we go.
but I think it's very interesting that Mraize phrases it as like, he doesn't come out and say Nail is crazy. He's like,
Totally.
I don't understand like how this could be
We
possible.
have no idea how this could be the case, but
But like, he's a herald. Like, he might know something we don't know.
I mean, he probably
Right.
does know some things, but we'll talk about Ishar more.
And
Yeah.
so there's one other thing from
Yeah.
the letter I want to discuss, and it's
Mhm.
from our spying upon the Skybreakers, we have records showing that the only member of Amaram's army to have bonded his friend was long since eliminated.
And then in the
Right.
next line, it mentions the Bridgeman, so that's separate from Kaladin.
So it wasn't
Well,
Kaladin,
obviously,
that
like,
they're talking about.
Kaladin was not eliminated.
well, some people might be thinking like, oh, eliminated was him being a slave, right? You see what I'm saying?
Eliminated is usually killed. Like,
Or
dead.
well, like my thought was when they were like, "Oh, the only member of Amaram's army was eliminated." Like, oh, there was one, but they didn't know about Kaladin. And then he comes back and he's like, "Okay, but the Bridgeman was also there. We know that too. Don't worry, we know everything." Shalon, fear us.
Just want to make that clear.
yeah. So this reminds me of the theory that Tien was a proto-Lightweaver.
You know, I think we had kind of discussed yesterday. I think, and I don't want to lose the point when talking about the diagram. one of the things Pattern mentions about this letter is that there's lies in it.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I think that this could be like a lie of omission, that Mary's doesn't want to tell Shallan about the diagram, but that doesn't mean
true.
the Ghostbloods don't know. Like, with Taravangian in Uritharu at this time, I feel like telling one of the Radiants about all of that would be cause to mess up some politics. So.
Well, I don't think like he doesn't want to tell her. It's just not useful to him to tell her at this point.
Right.
And so he only tells her about the ones she has some measure of contact with.
Yeah.
Right.
Teleran, Amaram. Also, it's good as a writer for Brandon to not like, yo, let me tell you about all the things, and like let's pace it a little bit here.
Yes.
Brandon writes a Coppermind article in the middle of Oathbringer for us.
That would be very convenient. Please do that. Thanks. With citations, please.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yep. And so we also have we have a lot of other quotes about Secret
Do we
Societies.
want to talk about Tien at all? Because
I
yes,
think the
the
Tien idea is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that would be pretty mind-blowing if the Skybreakers were related to Tien's death, right? That's kind of what that intimates to me.
Well, it doesn't
right?
say that the Skybreakers killed the other Radiant, just that the other Radiant had been killed.
Right. That he might have been killed
true.
mundanely, and the Skybreakers didn't have to step in.
Yeah, it's like they probably would have, but like stupid politics of Alethkar got there first.
I was reading, I just started reading Oathbringer to my mom yesterday, and we got to the part where Syl mentions a sound that he remembers from Kaladin's hometown of like, I think she says like a chime of crystal. And Kaladin's like, that's weird. You shouldn't remember anything because you weren't here. And something like a voice. And so we think that might be like Tien maybe calling a Spren, or that the other Spren was
connected in the
something.
spiritual realm.
Everything's
Possibly.
connected. Yeah.
And in Way of Kings, like when Tien is apprenticed to the carpenter, like he carves a very like well done horse, like very realistic looking horse.
Oh yeah, it's very artistic. And the carpenter doesn't like it because he wants sturdy things.
Well, he wants a chair, not a horse.
Yeah.
Yep. That would be cool. So we have a lot of other quotes about the secret societies, just from the words of Brandon that we know.
Yes. So this first one, the questioner asks, like, Amaram and Dalinar, they both talk about Gavilar a lot. How many secret societies did Gavilar know about, or was he a part of? How many did he know about? He knew of more than he was part of, but he was not part of very many.
Yep. And
which, if he was not part of very many, that implies he was part of more than one. So it's like, what other secret societies was he part of?
Yeah.
That's
potential.
Well, he's Taravangian talked with Gavilar.
That's true. He was kind of in on the diagram too.
So it could just be like he's not invested in the diagram, but kind of was related to that creation.
Do we know when Taravangian went to the Night Watcher?
I don't think we do. I mean, after the assassination, I believe.
Okay. So Gavilar would not have been part of the diagram, but he was involved or an inspiration for its creation.
Yeah. So like
Taravangian says something about like carrying on Gavilar's work or something in his interlude, I want to say.
Yeah, it mentions Gavilar explicitly. Yeah. So
but this does tie back to Moses' letter where he says there were many in the palace that night who had reason to see him dead.
Right.
So
yeah. And
Gavilar does. He knew of the Ghostbloods.
Yes.
So.
Yep. And we'll talk about Thydakar and Restairs.
Ooh, real quick. Okay, I got it. I found the quote that I was looking for. So, it's right after Taravangian becomes king of Yakaved in that interlude in Words of Radiance, and it said, He had taken the first major step toward unifying the world, as Gavilar had insisted would need to happen if they were to survive. That was at least what the Visions had proclaimed. Visions Gavilar had confided in him 6 years ago, the night of the Alethi King's death.
Oh, that night. Oh, great.
That night. Yes.
So,
yeah. And then
he
he says,
Teravangian prologue. That's
yes, I'm doing my
possible.
best, Gavilar. I'm sorry that I need to kill your brother.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's true. Because, we know that the Visions, say unite them, which Gavilar got wrong.
Always super clear on what that is.
We're going to talk a lot about the Sons of Honor, because you know what this podcast is, Feather?
It's the Sons of Honor roast cast, where I get to talk about how terrible they are.
Yep. We're going to get to talk about how bad most people's plans are here.
It's true. There's a lot of bad secret society plans going around.
Kill all the Radiance. This will solve the problem. Ishar's very trustworthy. Brilliant.
So many bad takes. I don't get it.
Okay. Now, before I read this next one, I'm going to apologize to all of the Polish listeners for...
That's true.
I'm going to butcher this. This is from the Droga Krolo interview, but how many more secret societies are on Roshar? Brennan's. There are a few, but most of the ones you haven't found out about are either in countries you haven't gone to and spent much time with, or they are off-world societies that are involved in Roshar. You know most of them.
Well, we do in fact know of off-world societies, so...
Yes, but... So, we don't know all 10 or all 9. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, because we could see more when we go to, Western Roshar and Rira, because the Voidbringers own those places now, right?
Yep.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
In this next one, C-Stat asks, if Kelsier, when Vin knew him, were to join one of the Rosharan secret societies, which one would he choose? Brandon, he would become part of the Ghostbloods, most likely, and be in charge of them within a year.
Which, that's
Kelsier.
worrying.
I'm glad he doesn't have that.
Though, I think that's a nail in the coffin that Kelsier is in charge of the Ghostbloods, because that's a theory.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I imagine he has his own secret societies and societies on Skadriel.
I was going to say, I feel like Kelsier does less secret society and more just a straight up cult.
True.
Every time. It's always centered on worshipping Kelsier somehow.
I need statues of myself. This is very important.
Giant Indiana Jones temple full. Okay.
He's not a very humble person.
Or subtle.
Yeah.
Subtle.
Or no.
Alyx, this next one basically talks about what we were just discussing.
Okay, so this one is from Son of Stannis, and it says, both Amaram and Teravangian were members of Gavilar's trusted circle before his death. So are the Sons of Honor and Diagram followers affiliated or separate groups with different agendas? And Brandon does say different agendas, but similar origins.
Basically exactly what we
Makes sense,
talked about. Related to Gavilar, but Teravangian went off in a kind of different direction.
Yes.
They both have a they both think unifying the world is important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then this last one asks if Teravangian, the Ghostbloods, and Amaram, are they working together? And basically, no, they have opposing views, and they're not working together. Then they have different motives. And Brandon does say the Ghostbloods, they've not talked about their motives very much.
At all, really.
Yep.
Which is what makes them so intriguing.
Yeah. And Brandon does reaffirm that the Sons of Honor are trying to bring back Voidbringers because they believe it will return the Heralds.
Great plan.
The worst plan.
Yeah. So how about we start with the Ghostbloods? Hopefully this won't take an hour and a half with the first secret society.
I'll rein in my love for them.
That's right.
A word of Brandon that Yatil, who is Mraize's teacher who wears the mask, is what we know of her. She was once in the 17th Shard. Which is fascinating.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool little tidbit.
Very interesting knowing what we know about the 17th shard.
Yes.
Which
It is that is rather crazy.
Yes.
We know that Yatil's been with the hunters on Scadrial.
Well, we know she's descended from the hunters.
Right.
But she was born on Silverlight.
Right.
In Silverlight.
Which is a city in the cognitive realm that people may not be aware of.
Well,
the restaurant at the end of the Cosmere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and Yatil's Mraize's boss.
Yep.
Yes. Described as
his babs.
Yep.
Yes, which is the like Thalen apprenticeship sort of relationship.
Yep.
Which is interesting because my take on the Ghostbloods is that Mraize seems to be in charge of the Ghostbloods. But Yatil, I don't know. I wonder if Yatil is like outside the Ghostbloods hierarchy and she's just with Mraize. Maybe?
It's
I don't
really
know.
hard
It's
to
odd.
know what the motives of
Hard
the
to nail
Ghostbloods
down,
are or their organizational structure is.
Yep.
I think Mraize is because Mraize is a title. Which
Right.
we still
don't know his name.
That's true.
Yeah, or what Mraize means.
Right.
But
So
I wonder if like
mysterious.
he's in charge of that chapter of Ghostbloods. And Yaddle is his supervisor.
I mean, it seems telling to me that he has to be pretty high ranking because not only did he have the information about Ash, what we see him getting up to in Oathbringer, setting a baited trap for a herald, which totally works because he got the portrait that she wanted to destroy. And so, like, he knew enough about her motivations to know that that would lure her in. And then once he got her into his house, he was ready with information to then make her do what he wanted with Taln, which is just a mind-boggling amount of knowing things about the very secretive heralds. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like Mraize is a low-ranking member.
Oh,
or
not at all.
Even one of a... I mean, it'd be hard to justify even like him being one of the upper leaders. Like, I really think he's in charge.
I don't think there is a single person in charge.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the Ghostbloods is too distributed in a sense. You know?
Yeah.
Like, not like, I am the person in charge, kill me, and my entire organization crumbles. They would not structure it that way, right?
Right.
No. But it's also interesting that we don't see Yaddle at all in Oathbringer.
Not at all.
Like, Mraize is pretty much left to his own devices.
Right. It's tough. Yeah, and from what we see of him and the information that he's able to give to Shallan, the information that he uses to bring in Ash, I would say that Mraize probably knows most of what the Ghostbloods know. Like, I would say he is kind of at least a center of information for them where he knows what their network knows. And it is a shocking amount.
Yes.
What are they doing with all that info? They know everything.
So, speaking of Mraize,
Yes.
why don't we...
My husband.
Feather's boyfriend.
Feather's
boyfriend.
Feather's boyfriend.
I have a thing for bad guys, and he's like
A
exactly
little bit.
my kind of manipulative and sinister. Like,
Yeah.
sad.
So, a while back, there was a discussion about Mraize and like where he's from, and Peter commented like, "Oh, I thought it was obvious that he's from Thalen," which people were very shocked by because but he doesn't have the eyebrows. And so Botanica asked, Mraize is said to come from Thelena. If it is true, then what about his eyebrows? Because we don't see any related descriptions from Shallan's POV. Did he cut/shave/dye his eyebrows? Brandon, Mraize, well, let's just say that much about him is mysterious.
Really?
No, duh.
Thanks, Brandon.
But no, you would not place him as Thalen by his eyebrows.
Just
So
interesting.
And then we have another quote from Arthur Dent. Is Mraize a world hopper? Brandon, yes, he's been to a few planets highly supervised by his Babs.
Yes.
Which is interesting that it would need to be highly supervised.
Right.
Well, that might just make sure he doesn't get himself killed.
But also shows Yatil's done
that he's
a lot of world
deferring
hopping
to her, yeah.
in that realm of
man.
expertise, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, she's... It makes sense, being from a place that was founded by world hoppers.
Yeah.
That
Right,
has to be like a huge melding of cultures.
Right.
Oh, that's certainly true.
Man. Yeah, I've always tended to think that Mraize is a native Rosharan who then world hopped away for a little bit and then came back to his home planet, because Shallan doesn't mention anything about his eyes being odd, which usually when we see world hoppers, unless it's like Vivenna where they have some shape-shifting to help them blend in and look kind of Alethi, we get things like Kaladin saying, oh, this person is Shin in the lighthouse, when they're not Shin at all.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah.
Rosharans tend to be kind of distinctive, and Shallan doesn't note that, Mraize has an odd ethnicity to him.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I absolutely think that like he's a native Roshar.
Right.
Mhm.
Which is kind of cool.
Mhm.
Rosharan world hopper who came back.
Yep. And in Words of Radiance, when Shallan went into Raize's lair, that's a terrible way of saying it, but Raize had lots of things from other planets, namely a jar of sand in particular.
Mm-hmm.
He has Aether on his coat in Oathbringer, which canonizes Aether.
There's
I believe.
a branch from Yolen.
That's right.
And his bird is an aviar.
Yep.
From First of the Sun.
Yep.
Were there any other items?
Oh, there were a bunch. There was like a lock of hair and like a silver dagger, I think. Like, there's a bunch.
He's
there were a
got
bunch of
souvenirs. He's cool.
We don't know what all of them are.
Yeah.
Oh.
But, I mean, we really have no idea what their plans are, really, right?
Right. It's
Not
interesting
at
that we've interacted with the Ghostbloods so much, and yet we know so very little of their end game. We know they somehow ran afoul of Yasna, that she has killed some of their members, and in return they sent multiple assassins after her. We'll probably try again. I've always liked the idea that Mraize is trying to groom Shallan as someone who might be able to kill Yasna, to get her to a point where she's, in the inner circle and trusted, and Shallan has not told Yasna that she has contacts with the Ghostbloods, which she really should have. And that's going to come back and bite her.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. But I also think the Ghostbloods are a world hopping organization.
Yep.
So, like, unlike a lot of the other secret societies that we're going to be talking about who, like, care about Roshar and, like, want Roshar to survive.
It's true.
Ghostbloods, like, it might be nice to them, but that might not be their goal. Like, they may have ulterior motives.
Yeah, like, the grand plan with the Ghostbloods is not to kill Yasna. Like, that's just a thing that's an objective, right?
It's on the agenda, but it's not the top point. Right.
Right. They, like, went to, they, like, got involved with the Devars after Shallan's mother's death. Maybe to, like, counteract the Skybreaker influence, but we really don't know why,
Right.
What was going on there?
Yeah.
Right?
Or, like, maybe they might not have sought it out. Lynn might have sought them out. We don't know.
Well, that's true. That is certainly true. There's a lot of questions there for sure.
I would not be surprised if the Skybreakers, their interest in the Devar family, kind of the Ghostbloods were then like, okay, we need an agent in the area.
Yeah.
Send Luesh in. Luesh being the father's steward, send him in with a soulcaster. I'm sure Lynn Devar would be very interested in getting some mineral deposits. Tell him if he joins us, And, I bet that's how they found out a lot of, what happened with her mom and with Helleron and all of that was, having agents in the house who knew about that.
Probably because they maybe knew the Skybreakers. They knew that the Skybreakers knew that a member of that family was bonding a Spren.
Or they knew that there was something about them that was interesting to the Skybreakers.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
They might not have known about it was bonding a Spren originally.
Indeed. We know that a member of the Ghostbloods, Thydakar, was one of the people Gavilar mentioned right when he's about to die as people who might have killed him. Yeah. So maybe let's talk about Thydakar a little bit.
Yeah.
So he is mentioned 3 times across Way of Kings and Words of Radiance.
Mm-hmm.
Once when Gavilar is talking to Seth as he's dying as a potential person who ordered the hit.
Which would make sense if Gavilar's, doing what he's doing, and Ghostbloods probably don't want the Desolations. I'm pretty sure they don't want that.
Yeah.
Probably not. Amaram also thinks that Thydakar might have sent Helleron after him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then Ray's orders that the information Shallan got from infiltrating Amaram's manor house should be sent to Master Thydakar.
Right.
And we got nothing from him in Oathbringer at all, right?
Because the Ghostbloods were tragically absent. Underrepresented.
And we also have a quote from Jeffrey. Is Thydakar the leader of the Ghostbloods? Brandon. Thydakar is a leader.
Yeah, so I think this reinforces the idea that it's a non-centralized leadership thing going on.
There might not even be a rank structure necessarily.
I think there's a rank structure. But would Eotil be the same rank as Thydakar? We don't really know, right? We don't really have any context to say anything like that. I think that Eotil is either Thydakar's rank or the rank below him.
I would assume so.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of interesting there. The Ghostbloods also, when we think about their overall objectives, they really wanted to get to Urithiru.
Yes.
And that was, I feel how them and Yasna butted heads, because that was the thing Yasna really wanted to do.
Right. Which makes me wonder if there's, possibly more significance to Urithiru than just strategic positioning. I feel like Urithiru has a lot more secrets to it that we're going to be seeing in later books.
I imagine it's going to be home base for many books, and
yes, definitely.
There's going to be, hey, this is crazy stuff we learned in these gemstones that's super crazy.
Yeah.
Or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
There could be even more gem archives in there, potentially, that we just haven't found yet, for all we know.
Right.
Well, there's certainly a lot more gems than we have.
Yeah.
Epigraphs for.
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah.
I don't.
All right.
I don't know if I'm sold on there being other archives, though.
Well, sure, but there could be lots of random crap in Urithiru, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
and I'm just spitballing random stuff. I imagine we'll find a lot of weird stuff there.
Yeah, I'm thinking the tower may be capable of things once they figure out how to make it work. How to make it be a city.
Yeah.
All of that. I feel like there's way more to it than first meets the eye.
I would assume so.
Yes.
That, with the sibling, is a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But, Ray's... He doesn't want Roshar to be destroyed by the Voidbringers. It's generally, pretty positive in that respect. You know?
Working with the Heralds somehow, with Taln and Ash, to do something. He gave Ash information, but we don't know why.
What he gave Ash were the drawings of them that Yasna got from Hoy, right?
No. He gave her the information on where Taln was.
The information on where Taln was.
Sorry.
But we don't know why he wanted Ash to find Taln. Like, what did the Ghostbloods get out of that arrangement?
Yeah.
It's curious. Other than, I don't know, maybe Mraize just really ships Talon and Ash and was like, my OTP. I gotta help them reunite.
Talon with anyone, my OTP.
Well, obviously some sort of information.
Something.
Because, like, the location of Talon was, like, payment for Ash.
Yeah.
It was, like, payment and, like, what brought her to the table. But, like, we don't know what that conversation was like.
Yeah, we don't know what Ash gave them, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe he was questioning why Nail would have thought that killing Radiance would stop the desolation. He seemed to think that was secret Herald knowledge. Maybe find another Herald and convince her to talk.
Well,
do you guys know anything about this?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Feel like that's pretty much the Ghostbloods, though.
Yep.
We have anything else?
We really have no idea what they actually want. What is their end goal?
Need more Ghostbloods in later books, Brandon. So interesting.
From a writing perspective, they were really absent in Oathbringer, so I feel like we have to get them in book 4, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oathbringer really dealt with, like, the Skybreakers and the diagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
So the next big organization that we've seen a lot of are the Sons of Honor. Created by Gavilar.
It's mentioned that Gavilar greatly expanded their ranks in Mraize's letter.
Expanded? Oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's, like, literally what Mraize's letter says.
Yeah.
Was a driving force in their expansion. He brought Meridas Amarum into the fold.
So they existed before Gavilar.
Possibly.
Yeah. Possibly.
Yeah. We do know that Gavilar's visions were just interpreted very differently from Dalnar's.
Right.
But that did give the Sons of Honor access to information that they would not otherwise have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like, Honor would have been a little upset to know that, like, oh, hey, I'm going to send out warnings to some guys ahead of the new desolation so that they'll know after I die that something's coming. They got to do something. And then the Sons of Honor are like, this is great. What amazing news. Let's lean into this as hard as possible. Get that desolation here.
Well,
let's do it.
Well...
It's a bad plan.
Well,
it's no good.
It is a really bad plan because they don't actually have any actual information about the Heralds. I mean, Amram kind of does, but not really. It's just like, whoa, Talon's here. That's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, doesn't
He's
really
also super racist and things like, oh, like, I would have expected the Heralds to look Alephi.
Yeah.
Well,
why doesn't he have light eyes, too? Yeah.
Well, that's always the things like, yes, Jesus is a white American dude. Like, or he was Middle Eastern because that's where he lived. Probably that. But it's kind of going with that.
I feel like if I had to take a guess, the Sons of Honor have probably bought into the, like, foreign hierarchy story a little more too.
Well,
so if they're trying to return the hierarchy, they probably think, oh yeah, the heralds are, our demigod counselors who come to us in times of aid, and they are up there fighting in the Tranquiline halls, and we can summon them back. While the Ghostbloods seem to have the knowledge that no, they're running around being insane on Roshar and are not friends anymore with mankind. So
and so that's what makes their plan even worse, that like they succeeded, the heralds still aren't going to come back. Like
no.
They really don't care.
It's not gonna work at all.
Yeah, like, I wonder how much the Sons of Honor would even be relevant in later books. Because, like, Gavilar, dead. Amram, dead.
It's true. They're
but
running out of leadership.
we do have one other character mentioned with the Sons of Honor, Restares.
Yes. So, Restares is the other possibility that Gavilar considers as he's dying.
Yeah,
which is very interesting.
Didn't Gavilar said, Restares? That makes no sense. Like, didn't he say something like that? I think.
I think so.
I'll go look it up. You guys keep talking.
Yes. But Amram also refers to Restares as he's deciding to make Kaladin a slave. Like, Restares is right. Like, do bad stuff to Kaladin.
Yep.
Okay. Yes. So, yeah, Gavilar mentions Thydakar first. He says you can tell Thydakar that he's too late. And then Seth's like, I don't know who that is. And the next two people that Gavilar suggests are Restares and Sadeas.
And he says, I never
he's
thought.
Like, I never thought. Yeah,
about
like
Sadeas,
those two
but
don't
not
make
Restares.
sense, but those are the next two I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
And then is like, the Parshendi, that makes no sense. But
Right.
Yes. And so Mraize also refers to Amram and the Sons of Honor as Restares' cronies. So that implies Restares is, like, he's at the top.
High up and,
Like,
leadership.
I think he, like, is the leader.
I would assume so.
He may have recruited Gavilar and like, oh, hey, now we've got a king on our side. Sweet.
And Gavilar then expanded that immensely. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because we know that, like, part of, like, the Sons of Honor's plan is, like, returning the Ardentia to power. What if Restares is an Ardent?
Ooh.
I was leaning
like
that way.
A lot. Yeah.
Maybe even
Like,
a very
where better to
senior
hide?
Ardent. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
you could get to hide in plain sight, basically.
Yep. And then Amram at the end of towards the end of Way of Kings, is writing a letter to Restares, like, claiming success in their
Mission
plan.
accomplished. 10 out of 10.
It's like,
we did it.
Like, you had nothing to do with it. They, like, literally had nothing to do with it.
Does Amram ever actually accomplish anything now that I'm thinking about it? Kaladin gets his shard blade for him. He doesn't start the desolation. He doesn't marry Yasna like he was hoping to. Amram's life is just a failure. And then he joins Odium and dies. The end.
I mean, it is kind of interesting thinking about when Amram joined with Odium. How long he's been talking to Odium in particular?
It's obviously after the end of Words of Radiance.
Yeah, no, it has to be, right?
It's like, how did he get from, like, yo, we succeeded, to joining Odium? That's
really isn't explained very well.
No.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of makes sense, but we probably could have used some more development if this was the book where Kaladin fights Amram proper.
Yeah. Like, we should have gotten more with Amram, period.
Right.
Because, like, he shows up in Earthiru and is named the head of House Sidious, and then he just goes to Thalen City.
And that's it. Yeah.
And then he's with Odium.
Yeah.
Like, his arc is not written very well.
Yeah.
Or it's not written satisfactorily.
There may be more as we find out about, Restares and the other parts of the Sons of Honor. We may see more of, like, what Amram did before he died.
Yeah.
Possibly. I don't know.
This is one of the instances where I'm sad that we don't get annotations anymore, because I feel like that might be something Brandon would have gone into.
Like, let me tell you what's going on with him and what happened there. Rip annotations. But ultimately, Sons of Honor, crap plan. What? yeah, they just don't know what the heralds are at all.
Yeah.
Really.
Mhm.
And that is very dangerous. Ishar is known to be very trustworthy, guys. Very trustworthy.
I feel like the
Seems
Sons
very
of Honor's
sensible.
motto is "Be careful what you wish for."
Yeah.
Desolation's here, guys. You didn't really have anything to do
Bow
with it. though.
down to God Priest Tezim.
Have fun.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd love that.
Yeah.
Should
Yeah.
we take the other letter organization then and move on to the Skybreakers?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Since we're on the topic of
That's true.
Tezim and Ishar,
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah.
so yeah, so the Skybreakers are an order of the Knights Radiant,
Which is crazy.
which
Free
is really
Oathbringer. Like, that
crazy.
is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's one still around, led by their patron herald, Nail.
Very sensible.
It is mentioned in Words of Radiance that one of the orders did not forsake their oaths.
Indeed. In
Right.
the in-world Words of Radiance. Yep.
Yeah.
But that they lived in death instead. I
Ooh,
believe
yeah,
is
that's
how
right.
they phrase it. It's a fun term.
Yeah.
And then in Edged Answer we find out that it's the Skybreakers.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so Tesh asked, how was Nail able to keep recruiting Skybreakers even after the recreants? Brandon, the Spren simply didn't leave and kept bonding Radiance. So
Yep. And their Spren are
nothing like, no big secret there. Like,
Yeah.
They just
The
kept
other
bonding.
Spren would be like, yo, that was terrible. Let's not bond humans. Hi, Spren. Don't have that problem.
mhm.
They didn't do that.
Yeah.
Also, just want to note that Yasna talked with the High Spren when she was in Shadesmar. So
True.
that's an interesting thing that we know nothing about still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Um,
makes sense now because a lot of the other Spren species were like decimated by the recreants, so like probably not a lot of information survived.
They wouldn't want to talk about it anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah. I wonder if that's something the High Spren tried to keep secret from the other True Spren that were, are bondable, that they were still seeking Radiance when everyone else had, stopped. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, over in Shadesmar, do people know that the High Spren are still doing this, or was this a secret on the Shadesmar side?
The High
I don't
Spren do seem pretty secretive.
yeah,
Which is weird that Yasna could then talk to them if they're like, oh, no, they don't have any problem talking. But, really, we haven't even seen Zeth's Spren at all.
No, we haven't.
Yep, that's
Right?
true.
It's pretty secretive.
Oh man. So we know that Nail was following Ishar's orders.
Oh,
that it was
we-
Ishar's idea that killing all of the Radiants would somehow stop the desolation.
So CCQ asked, I just read Edged Answer. I was just wondering, did Ishar deceive Nalan on purpose, or was he just wrong? He had wrong information. Brandon, all the heralds are insane.
Straight up.
Okay. Brendan continues, it manifests in different ways. Do not trust anything any herald says ever.
That's very definitive.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Nail trusts Ishar too much. So CCQ asks, okay, but so did he do it on purpose or Brennan? So on purpose is a difficult thing when you're referring to someone with the psychology that Ishar has.
Nuts.
Did he know that? Did he know what it was, that it was a lie? Brennan, all right, I'll raffle that until I get to him. But the answer is kind of a yes and a no, okay? So there's a part of him that knows, and there's a part of him that doesn't want to believe it. And yet the things he's been doing lately in Roshar are done because he knows what's coming.
I mean, I'm with Mraze on this one. It seems like the mechanism for desolations is well known. The 10 heralds are in damnation together until one of them can't take it anymore, and then everyone floods back. Just the Voidbringers and the heralds and everybody comes back and the desolation happens for a little bit until we stop it. Which
And,
I feel like the heralds would know better than anyone that that's how it works. So why are they the ones who think this radiant stuff has something to do
Absolutely,
with it?
Ishar would know
What?
better than anyone because he's the one that figured out
Right?
that only one person needed to go back. Like, that was Ishar.
It was his plan.
Yeah.
To break the Oath Pact. That was his plan. It clearly Ishar was like the knowledgeable guy. He's called like the binder of the world, right? Like
his attributes are pious and guiding. So.
He was the herald of the bondsmiths. Like, we see what bondsmiths can do.
Yeah, so Ishar's... I can see why Nail would trust Ishar, but I have no idea why Ishar would believe that other than insanity. But like, maybe there's some very perverse reasoning for it, but...
Oh, there has to be. Like, some twisted logic, but
there might be some merit with the Radiance and that, but it must be really
I don't
twisted.
think there's like really any merit. It's like backwards logic and twisted logic.
Yeah, I'm just like thinking maybe there's like a tiny kernel of it that's just like super warped and insane Herald brain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
but
say
like any like sane person, like, no, that's ridiculous. Like, that's obviously ridiculous.
Yeah. I'd say from Brandon's answer that it sounds like Ishar and Nail and whoever else he's convinced are like very far in denial. Like, no, the desolation can't be coming back because we really don't want it to, and therefore we can do this. It'll stop it. Trust me, we got this. Just kill them all. It's fine. It won't work.
Well, that's part of why Brennan wrote Edge Dancer, so that we could get
show that.
Nail's like realization, like, oh, this is actually a desolation. That's not good.
Well, I mean, it does make sense that they broke the Oath Pact, but, well, I'm very excited to see more Ishar and Tezim, because I remember in book 1, I'm like, Tezim is going to be a thing, it's going to be crazy, and he's Ishar. Oh, crap, that's sick.
Oh, wait. I don't think the Ghostbloods know that Tezim is Ishar.
It's true. That came from the Stormfather. It's possible that they don't know.
Because in Words of Radiance, Raze is talking about Tezim, and it's like, he's not even sure that, like, he's of the local stock.
That's
humanity.
right.
Oh, he thinks it might be a world
that's
hopper.
That's
a
guessing.
good point.
That's right. But
that's a good point. That's a good point.
That's
I
what
forgot
he's
about
wondering.
that.
Yeah, we have some advantages as the main characters in that we have the Stormfather on our side, which is pretty good.
True.
We get some info.
So I will say, as someone who I really like the ideals of the Skybreakers. I've always thought that if I were a Radiant, I would end up as a Skybreaker.
You would.
I like rules and following laws, and I think society's laws are good. And so I worry that kind of the Skybreakers might have been getting a bad rap because they're all about like following the rules and following orders. And unfortunately, the person currently giving them orders is insane. Like, I want to see more of the Skybreakers who kind of break with Nail a little bit like Zeth does. And, you know, what would a normal Skybreaker look like before they became kind of this twisted clandestine operation? Would the Highspren bond someone who wasn't approved by Nail, or the Highspren following Nail implicitly in his recruits and things like that?
There's a few things with that. Nail was the last one to accept the patronage of his Order of Radiance, the very last one. We know that from the in-world Words of Radiance. Another interesting thing that you just made me think of is I feel like after the last desolation, none of the other heralds interacted with their Order of Radiance, right? Because they're just like, the heralds are gone. Yeah, but with Nail, did he just always talk with the Skybreakers?
Yeah, because he went back to get his honor blade, and he also joined the Order.
He has an honor blade and a shard blade. He has a spren.
He's the only herald to have joined their associated order.
That's kind of crazy to me, because there's this 2,500-year period where presumably the heralds were not involved with the Radiance, right? So, like, what was Nail's relationship with that? Did he join just to keep an eye on them, and then after the Recreance is like, yo, I'm in charge, don't do that? Who knows? Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, 'cause, like,
so
we don't know when he
Skybreakers.
went to get his honor blade black,
No.
and we
Yeah.
don't know when he bonded.
No, we have no idea. But it's just interesting that in this post-Recreant style of Skybreakers, Nail's the guy in charge. But
Yep.
what happened between the Last Desolation and the Recreants with the Skybreakers, right? That I think that's
Yeah.
a really important question.
Oh, it's so interesting. I like the Skybreakers a lot. I
Yes.
feel like if people presume that they are just going to be a villainous organization, that I think there's a lot more depth to them than that.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
the Skybreakers were an Order of Knights Radiant. Like,
Yeah.
they're very much not inherently bad.
Right.
It's like one of those, like, to go talk D&D, like, they are ideally lawful good. Right now, they're probably more lawful neutral.
Lawful neutral, yeah.
Pretty strongly lawful neutral there.
Nail
now.
edging on lawful. I feel like Nail is a very good embodiment of the like Javert style lawful evil right now.
Yeah. And so, like, lawful good gets a bad rap a lot of the time for being, like, stuffy and
Boring.
boring. Which,
I'm like, yes, that's me. That's my order.
That is
Give
you,
me-
Alyx.
give me
That
those
is
people.
You. You guys don't know. Alyx loves setting up boundaries, and she will follow those to the end. And she will wait for a friend that she said that she would meet in a parking lot for like 2 hours, just so she doesn't have to say that she's canceling, even though this friend is clearly disrespecting your time. That's a thing that happened. And I
Will
said,
not
Alyx, you're such a
leave-
frickin' Skybreaker. That's what I
leave
said
that.
to you.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm like, I always love the villains because they're so different for me. Like, I'm such a goody two shoes who, you know,
Now you get
has
to be evil
follow.
and be lawful.
Exactly.
Not
They're
evil,
perfect.
but you know.
It's perfect group for me.
And it's going to be really interesting what we see with the Skybreakers because, as we know, at the end of Words of Radiance, Oathbringer, what book? They swore to the Dawn Singers / singers.
Well,
Did-
Nale swore to the Dawn Singers,
Yes.
and
Yes.
most of the Skybreakers
yeah, believes most of the
followed him.
Skybreakers
Yep.
will follow him. Yeah.
Which
Mhm.
I want to know what Odium will do with him. With Nail. That's
Right.
That's insane. Like, what would even possibly happen there? That's crazy.
The fact that, you know, when you think about it from Nell's perspective, he is going to basically work for the person who tortured him for millennia.
Well,
Mhm. Well, yeah.
yes.
the cause
I mean,
of it, like-
responsible for it. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and he's literally working for the people who tortured him.
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Like, because he believes that is the lawful thing to do, that's what he's coming to. Like, it's wild the way that he thinks.
Like, are they just
Nell
gonna
is a
like lock
fascinating
him up and
character.
torture him like forever? Are they gonna just immediately Yezrian stab him and wreck him? Like,
right? I don't know.
like, yo,
It's-
other Skybreaker, you do this for us.
I feel like Odium doesn't waste tools.
Yeah, I feel like
It's like-
Nail is going to be valuable to them, but like
Yeah.
It's pretty
working
powerful.
with people who were your sworn ideological enemies for
Mhm.
so long and then deciding, no, I'm gonna go with them. Like,
Yeah.
the lack of emotional response is
I'm just
insane.
And we do have a word of Brendan on this, which I do think we should read.
Yes, let's do it.
When the Skybreakers are about to decide to follow Dawn Singers, like, why now, why not before? Brandon. So this is a little complicated. Until they came back, by Nale's interpretation, the law of the land was human. When they returned, the law of the land became Dawnsinger. And at that point, it was his job to switch to them. It is his logic, but you don't have to agree with that logic, because Nale's logic is maybe not the best.
Especially because his insanity, no doubt, has gotten worse as things have progressed.
But so, like, I think it's very interesting. Like, Seth does not agree with that logic.
No.
But Nale does not hold that against.
No,
Right.
it's really
Right.
funny.
Yeah.
Which, like, that's a trope I really like. People on opposite sides of this conflict, like professionally, like, they fight each other on the battlefield, but then, like, they're cool with each other in private.
It's not that I hate you, yeah.
I'll teach you division later, no worries.
Yeah, because, like, Nale does say that, like, he will still continue to train Seth.
good luck getting Odium to agree. I'm going to leave and go train these other people, right?
So,
I'm
like,
gonna go talk to Dalinar's new bodyguard, BRB.
I think that, like, the Skybreakers are the only order where that would really be feasible.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fifth oath that we know Nale has sworn is, like, to become the law.
Right.
So it's like, that's kind of like, you're, instead of adhering to the other people's interpretation of the law, like, you interpret the law for yourself. And so, like, in Nale's mind, like I interpret the law my way, like, he's interpreting the law his way, and that's okay.
Yep.
Which is interesting because Nale also says at one point that he does not trust his own mind. And he does not trust his own judgment in Edge
And he
Dancer.
doesn't think that other Skybreakers should swear to him.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I think they'll find that's a bad idea. I'm not like
It's-
correct in my brain.
Yeah.
Nale is
Yeah,
so
he doesn't trust
interesting.
himself, but he does trust Ishar. Because Ishar is not insane.
Ishar's not crazy. It's
Ishar's very
fine.
trustworthy. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm God King Tezim and I'm crazy and
I think at one point, Ash is like, oh, Ishar's the only one of us that's not insane, too.
that's true. She does
I feel like
say
they
that.
both say that, yeah. Which is really
Which, like,
weird.
Which is so funny given like what we see of Tezim messaging Dalinar like, whoa, you're like super, you're like at a 12 out of 10 of crazy here.
Yeah, which
Whoa.
I think we also discussed like I'm dropping things. The potential that the Tezim persona is something that Ishar may be like putting on to distract, and that might not actually
True.
be how he really is.
Okay, that's...
Oh, Ash, welcome back. Maybe he's very kind.
Yeah,
to the other
and he's like
elves.
meeting with
that's a
him in
really good
person,
point.
and they're, you know, he seems sane. He's like, but there's some kind of purpose in perpetuating the God King mythos. And it's some kind of ploy. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know enough about it.
That's a really good point that I never considered.
There you go.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
true,
think-
but, like,
I think
there's
Ishar
more
can
to that
pretend
God
to be a
King.
lot more sane than he lets on.
I think there's a lot of that insanity in that God King business.
Yeah,
Even if he's like saying to the other heralds, "Oh yeah, no, I'm totally sane. I have a plan."
Yeah.
Well,
I mean-
like, we just read a word, Brendan, that,
Yeah,
like, there
Brandon
is
said
a
straight
point
up.
to what he's doing.
Yeah,
Because, like, the other orders are like, or other secret societies are like, we must unite Roshar. And in some weird way, that's kind of what Ishar wants to do under him. He's not very good at it, though.
He seems very Well, I mean, it's just Takar. I mean, let's be real. Like,
Yeah.
But I imagine that the Takari are very good at fighting there. So sorry, I should explain. Tezim, the god priest, is the ruler of Tukar, and we learned about that in book 1, where the Imuli and Tukari were fighting over Sasemelek's Dar, one of the Dun cities, and that war, the 80s war, has occurred a while, and Tezim's in charge and was not particularly nice to Dalinar. Just, so in case you didn't get the 2 references of Tezim before Oathbringer, there you go.
Yeah, he has been mentioned.
But I think the Skybreakers are gonna be really interesting to see what happens with Odium. It's gonna be really weird if Nail's arc is, I'm killing Radiance, now I'm following the Singers. But wait, Odium's kind of trash. Now I'm coming back here. Like, we can't have like these giant switches every book. So I hope he'll be with Odium for a while, so it doesn't feel as jarring. Because Windrunner, David, on this podcast, really did not like that the Skybreakers went to follow the Singers. Really hated that. So thought I'd just mention that here.
Yeah. I'm hoping we'll see a divergence in Skybreakers, the Radiant Order, versus Skybreakers, the clandestine organization, and that we're going to have Skybreakers who are not following Nail's plan, who are not going, that those are kind of going to be more separate groups now that, hey, everybody knows Radiance are around, that we see some Skybreakers who weren't involved in all of the crazy secrecy, Radiant killing, swearing to odium stuff. So.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So let's get into the last kind of big big secret societies that we know a lot about.
The last major one.
The major, the last major one. And that's the diagram.
So, Ray 745 asked a very long and involved question, asking about Graves and the diagram, and if Grave was lying to Moash when he says, I thought for sure my interpretation was correct, that if we removed Elhokar, Dalinar would become our ally. And so Brandon replies, like, Graves is supposed to, though people miss this, so perhaps I didn't do it well enough, indicate that the diagram is not simply one group following Taravangian. They follow the diagram itself, not him. And some think his interpretations are wrong. Graves was ordered to remove the Alethi leadership entirely. Though Taravangian was sending Seth after Dalinar, the more dangerous one, and Graves was to remove Elhokar. Graves, however, interpreted the diagram differently. He thinks that Dalinar cannot be killed by Seth or anyone, and is hoping to remove Elhokar, have Dalinar step up, and help them. He has passages of the diagram that indicate, to him, this is the natural outcome of removing Elhokar. The actual passages in what it is they're trying to accomplish in specific has yet to be revealed in full.
Interesting. I actually did not get that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad Brandon explained.
I love the diagram because it's very much a concept from Foundation, the Isaac Asimov books. Have either of you read those?
I have not. I've heard
but
of them.
I am aware of the connection to the diagram.
Basically, there was a guy who created a plan, and there's people trying to figure out that plan, and then later you see like there's this other group trying to like fix the plan if things go off course and stuff. So it's very much inspired from that. We should probably explain what happened with the diagram. The diagram, I guess, happened because Taravangian went to the Night Watcher, got his boon, which is actually insane when you think about it, given what we know of the Night Watcher now. But had a very smart day, a very, very smart day, and knew tons of crap that seem impossible to know. And
well, he made connections.
Yeah. Well, reading about the diagram, it is kind of crazy how he was able to figure out as much as he's doing, and other people are trying to like advance the diagram to see what this plan should be.
Well, and what's interesting about when Taravangian asked the Night Watcher, he asked for capacity to stop what was coming, the capacity to save humankind. So in some ways, I feel like he sees, it's not the varying intelligence that he got, but it was, the ability to create the diagram itself was what he asked for.
I don't know. I'm fond of the theory that, like, the boon was that he can be, like, super compassionate and super smart. The curse is that he doesn't have them both at the same time. So, like, he's assuming that super smart him, who was also super not compassionate him, has the right idea.
Right.
That might not necessarily be the case.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, from Taravangian's perspective, he's like, oh, I asked for the ability to save mankind, and because of what I was given, this came about. That means this is definitively the way to save mankind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's right. I think the diagram is also a terrible plan.
I think we could get some very good reversal there with Taravangian. Is like, I did have the capacity, and something very unexpected in that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe his compassion is what is supposed to save humankind.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And
I think one of the nice things about the diagram is that it's very clear what's happening with it. Like, we've got it's not like the Ghostbloods were like, what are they up to? It's like, okay, this is
true.
This is how it happened. This is what we got. This is how they're interpreting it. This is what they're aiming for.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
And kind of going off what we were just talking about, Mason Wheeler asked, like, it seems like the diagram cult derives their entire moral authority for the atrocities they commit from the notion that this is a very, very smart plan. Brendan's like, basically, yeah. Mason goes on, and they're filling in the gaps with information gleaned from death rattles, despite knowing full well that they're coming from one of Odium's unmade. This seems very, very dumb. Have they considered the possibility they could be fed disinformation? Brennan, yes, but they figure that the benefits of having access to someone who can see the future outweighs that risk. And even if they are deliberately given bad information, knowing what subjects they're being misinformed about tells them something useful.
I think if I was on Roshar, I'd be a diagramist, because I'm like, it does seem like a really good plan. Seems good. Seems good.
Betrayed. I don't like the diagram at all, actually.
No,
I like the idea of the diagram, but I would not be.
I mean, I don't like it in practice, but like, reading the diagram must be pretty crazy for people who, were not invested in any of the societies, just the wealth of knowledge there. That's what I'm saying. And I think they have a point.
You could follow the diagram and not, like, adhere to what Teravangian's doing.
Yeah.
It's true. I think my thing with the diagram is that I don't trust the Teravangian who made it.
Oh,
that is certainly true.
That's my hang up with the diagram. It's like, they have these tests, and, obviously if he's not smart enough, he can't be the king. But they've also agreed that if he's too smart, he also shouldn't be the king, because he makes bad decisions like trying to murder everybody. And yet, even on this day, when he was so, like, way far off the charts into brilliance, I feel like we're not being critical of the fact that this was probably a wholly amoral individual with no compassion for the human race who has created this plan that we're now going to follow religiously. Like, that's what really scares me. I do not trust that the diagram's intentions are for the good of humankind.
We certainly
I think they're not necessarily good for humankind. They're good for the purpose he's trying to fulfill.
Oof.
Which is save as many people as he can.
It was pretty scary in Oathbringer how he just, like, deliberately manipulated the tests. So he would just, like, not do as well on the test so he could make decisions. And like, that's... I mean, they probably made the tests after the diagram, right?
Oh, yes.
So, they didn't really have any frame of reference for rating all this writing that he did on that smart day, right? But no, I think you're totally right. And though I would probably be a diagramist, his plan at the end is really crappy. That is a bad plan.
Yes.
Everybody's joining up with Odium, man.
Yep. And so there's just one more word of Brandon and I want to touch on before we talk about the horrible plan. And it's are the Ghostbloods accounted for in the diagram? And Brandon, yes, the Ghostbloods are in the diagram. Which, we knew that they were aware of Rays at the least. So it's interesting to know that the Ghostbloods are a factor. Like, they were considered in the planning.
I wonder if the Ghostbloods have knowledge of, like, not the diagram, the organization, but of the diagram, the document, since they're all about having info. How much of the diagram have they read?
So.
I don't know.
It's hard. It's so hard to say what the Ghostbloods do or do not know.
It's true.
Like, it would be cool if they didn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
I just feel like if they're aware that, there's another society out there led by Teravangian who follows this future predicting document to the letter. Like, I feel like one of their priorities would be then, okay, let's get eyes on this future
I feel like once
document.
he became king of Yakoved, they're on his case.
Yeah.
Absolutely. At this stage, absolutely, I would say.
That probably came out of left field for the Ghostbloods. Like I'm betting they did not see that coming.
Yeah.
And are now trying to make up for lost time.
Yep.
So I want to read this word of Brendan.
Okay. All right.
Because this leads directly into his horrible plan at the end of Oathbringer.
Okay. All right.
The Sovereign asked for a new piece about the information about the diagram that is important to the Cosmere. Brandon, if Dalinar lives, something worse must be attempted.
And that was in 2016 that we got that one.
Yes, that was before Oathbringer.
Yeah.
So, what's the worst thing that must be attempted? Allying with Odium?
I guess, yeah.
This is not a good plan.
It's just bad.
Then there's this next quote also asking about the telling the future thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon says, Teravangian would claim to you that he did it all with strength of mind and no magical influence other than enhanced mind. That's what he would tell you. And so in that case, it would not be culturally they'd look at it weirdly, but spiritually he would say not of the Voidbringers, which so Odium at the end of Oathbringer, Teravangian invites Odium in, has to open a window, basically gives Yezrian's honor blade to the side of Odium. Great plan.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
too.
just remember that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But Odium said to Teravangian, "You did all of this," referring to the diagram, without access to the spiritual realm, or without the spiritual realm, and without access to fortune. Yeah. It's definitely said without access to fortune.
I think it was the other way around. Without fortune or access to the spiritual realm.
Something like that.
Because that makes more sense.
No,
linguistically.
I distinctly remember it. Let me look. I will look for you. No. All right. So he says, "You did this without access to fortune or the spiritual realm? Truly incredible." Okay. I know this because I researched the fortune article.
Okay.
And so I thought it was weird that he was saying access fortune, because it is weird. And that stuck in my brain.
Which someone has asked, fortune is not a shard.
Correct.
We have clarified.
But yeah.
I thought,
wasn't that right?
I'm pretty sure he said no.
I think he said no. It's an attribute like connection, which is why it's capitalized.
It definitely is, because you wouldn't say investiture is a shard. There's four of the ferrochemical spiritual properties. Fortune's one of them. Identity, connection are others, and investiture is another. Yes. So
yeah,
you wouldn't say those. I couldn't find that word of Brandon that he just distinctly said no on that, but I'm cutting that.
Anyway.
But yeah, no, you're totally right. It is absolutely a property, but it is.
And fortune is tied to future sight in the Cosmere.
Yep. And so it is interesting that even Odium thinks that it's like, oh wow, you didn't use these natural things to see the future? That's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although Odium could be lying. I mean, who knows?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. He has nothing in there.
Yeah, I know that I'm here because it's a Ghostbloods podcast, but you know what? I have diagram information that I forgot about.
Oh, yeah?
So one of the things that happens, which is very intriguing, is Renarin is somehow a dark spot in Odium's vision.
Yeah.
And we know Renarin can see the future.
Right, so...
from probably voidish influence.
Odium then, once Teravangian... upon seeing the diagram, basically said, this is what all I see, and it's like way more than the diagram. And there was this black spot with Renar.
Yes, yes. And I have a fun word of Brandon from way back, I think it was in my Words of Radiance book at the release, that back in Way of Kings Prime, the original draft, Renarin was the one who wrote the diagram, not Teravangian.
That's right.
Which is it speaks volumes as to the differenens between Prime and...
there's a lot of... Again,
it's a very different story.
No spread.
Yeah.
Let's be clear here.
Like, just the idea that now like Renarin is sort of diagram exempt when something about his plotline originally meant that he was creating like I always think Renarin stuff is interesting, but I feel like his plotline is going to have a lot of really intriguing stuff to do with the future and the diagram and all of that.
It's just interesting that it's Renarin in particular and not any of the other odium-y things that can already see the future, which is not inconsiderable.
Well, I think it's because like Renarin is connected to odium-y things, but he's a radiant.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah.
And like
it's good.
What he is new.
Yep.
So like, Taravangian's Gambit here makes a lot of other things make sense about the Cosmere. Because there's the one line that is like, you must become king of everything. Which makes sense when like, the Gambit is like, I'll come work for you and all the people I rule over can be safe, right? Which Odium just torpedoes that idea. It's like, no, you get Carbroth.
Yeah.
You get Carbroth.
Trying to bargain with having a way to bargain with Odium is just like a terrible plan.
Yeah.
That is the worst plan.
And Odium does point out that like he specifically came on a day where Taravangian was average intelligence.
Yeah.
You could bargain with me? That's hilarious.
Yeah, I believe Taravangian like specifically requested, he's like, I'm not very smart today. Could you come back later? And Odium's like, lol, that's why I'm
poor
here.
Old man, have a seat. Do you really think I'd be there on a day that you are smart? Do you really think that I would? Yeah. No. Oh, that's adorable. I'm still wondering, like, I feel like there is something weirdly magical with the diagram. Like,
I don't think so. I think it's all brain power.
Yeah.
Or like a function similar to ferrochemical zinc.
I mean, what it kind of seems to show, if it is just straight raw brain power, Taravangian must have had an enormous amount of knowledge of the world as it was in order to be able to extrapolate world events like that.
Well, he also had new stuff that Gavilar told him, so that helps, right?
It's like, I think that not only did it make him super smart, but it gave him like total recall. So like, like I vaguely overheard this one conversation 2 years ago, like that's relevant, like I'm going to use that. Whereas like a normal Taravangian is like wouldn't recall that necessarily.
Yeah, I feel like we maybe like as a modern example, like if you were to create a supercomputer that could analyze all of the surveillance data in the world and use it to predict what was going to happen. You have to have all the surveillance data in the world in order to be able to extrapolate.
Feather, have you watched Person of Interest?
It's on my list. I have seen a couple episodes, but yeah, the machine I think is what they
that's exactly the
machine
concept of that show.
But like, it doesn't work unless you have the data to work off of and extrapolate from. So
so he must
if
have
it was just smarts, then he must have had a wealth of spy knowledge for a tiny, unimportant city-state.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed that I'm a little disappointed with how the diagram has turned out. Like, I really liked the Foundation, the Harry Seldon plan idea, and Odium's just like, yo, your thing sucks. Look how much better the things I can see is. And I was just like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I don't know.
Well, that's the difference between being really smart and predicting the future and actually being able to see the future.
I know, but I don't know.
It's like person versus God, like kind of different weight class.
I know. I just hope we'll see more of them not just being Odium's cronies, because That's really important to me because the concept of the diagram's too cool for it to just kind of like be this.
I feel like you are to the diagram.
The diagram,
Skybreakers. We're like, don't just be an odium. You're too cool for this.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like I don't think that's going to happen. Like the diagram accounted for Taravangian meeting with Odium. It's like it gave him a phrase to say.
Yeah.
That like surprised Odium. It's like, wait, that's way too smart. And it's like, oh, you got that from the diagram. So I think the diagram will help in other ways. Make sure that there ways to like they're working for Odium, but like they have ulterior motives. Like
like I don't think Taravangian's happy about working with Odium and is not gung ho and loyal to the cause. It's doing this to try to get whatever we can out of it. Save our people.
Very interesting to see how it'll go. I don't know. I just liked the idea of human mind creating all of this and then using the bits of the death rattle to fix it. And it's just so cool because it's very mathy. Cool that's why it'd be me, right?
There you go. That's true.
That's why it appeals to me. That'd be the religion for me. Do we have any last thoughts on the diagram?
I don't think so. Should we do the smaller societies real quick?
Yeah, we're just gonna grind through them. So one secret society, and you were alluding to this earlier, not currently working, is the Invisagers.
As far as we know.
As far as we know.
Sigzil does mention that in Yule there are groups of people who talk of the Radiance and wish for their return. So like that could be another sect of Invisagers.
Could also be a separate thing too.
Yeah, like it's not clear, but the main sect that we know of are all dead.
Right.
Yep. Teft was in it. They tried to do stupid crap to manifest powers, and it didn't work. Get wrecked, Invisitors, and Teft destroyed them.
Should have listened to the Sons of Honor. You need the apocalypse first.
Yeah,
come on, guys.
Yeah, come on.
So, like, it's important to point out that like Teft was a child. Like his parents were members.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
His mother went off a cliff in a cart contraption that didn't work. Basically, their idea was that like the only way that like for people to manifest like powers was to put their lives in danger.
Right.
So they put their lives in danger.
Yeah. Yep. Teft does mention, he's like, the Invisitors are gone, and he says if there were others, he had no idea how to locate them. So it is possible that there are like other chapters of the Invisitors somewhere. Also doing this crazy stuff.
I never really felt like the Invisitors were really wide-ranging, but they could be.
Yeah. So possible, but we don't know of any others active at the moment.
And Teft turned them in, and the punishment for threatening suicide was to be killed, which is great.
Nonsense.
Good job.
Great.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's probably one. If that does count in our list of 9 to 10, that's probably one that's not working.
I feel fairly confident in saying it's the 10th one.
I would be with you there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have some other secret societies, as that Word of Brandon said long before that. There are some in Rira that we haven't met with, but others are world-hopping organizations, and of course, it's the 17 Shard clearly is on this list.
Hey, it's us. We're here. Our cameo. No.
Well,
so it's important to note that, like, when it's spelled out,
that's right.
It's the World Hopping Organization. When it's the numerals, it's the fan site.
That's right. It's the two different things. If you didn't know, you saw 3 world hoppers from the 17th Shard in Way of Kings in the first interlude. They were looking for Hoyd. We saw Galadon from Elantris there, Bayon from White Sand, who we know who that is now, and Demo from Mistborn. And so we see all them there.
Yep. And so the 17th Shard is the one world hopping organization we've known about for quite a while. Before any of the others. And so Brennan, there is a interesting word of Brandon where he he talks about what their goals are. They don't necessarily like what Hoyd is doing, interfering things, but like they do like what Chris is doing. She just like studies cultures.
Yep.
And so it's like, what about when people start integrating themselves with the culture? Is that going to make problems? Brennan, they would prefer that people didn't do that. So not Vasher. Not Vasher is very far from being 17th Shard.
Yeah.
So very far. Argent says, would you say they are a community of scholars? Brennan, they are a community. They are not all scholars, so I would not say that. I would say they are interested parties who do not want any planets to get destroyed. So they're the Apocalypse Guard? Yeah.
It lives.
No, they aren't really able to prevent these sorts of things. They're more like, what do they, so like, they're like Starfleet, right? They've got some Starfleet stuff. We're going to go research and study these people, but we shouldn't be involved. It's less about Prime Directive and more about what if something we do exacerbates the conflict between the shards. The shards split up for a reason, is what they think, right? Shards split up for a reason. They should continue to be split up. We should not dabble in bringing them together.
That's the core of the 17 shard philosophy. And yep, that's their purpose. Another word of Brandon again says same thing. They're not limited to tracking down Hoyd, worried about what he's doing. They have a grand plan, but they're worried about Hoyd, so they're going to hunt them too.
Yep.
And also, the Ghostbloods and the 17th Shard are not working together because very obviously they have very different philosophies. Yes. So it's very interesting that Yaddle was a member of the 17th Shard.
Really is.
Yeah, that phrasing means to me that she is a former member, no longer a
Phil. Oh yeah.
Clearly.
Like, she probably started off at 17th Shard and was like, yeah, no, this is stupid. I'm
learning the world hop. Oh, I don't actually agree with your philosophy anymore, so I'm gonna deal with that. That's probably one of them. That's really all we know about them, honestly.
Yeah, one other notable member is Frost, the dragon.
Hey. The dragon, the legit dragon, Ian.
There's going to be more than one.
There are, definitely. I agree.
Yeah. And so, the first letter in the Way of Kings epigraphs was from Hoyd to Frost. And the letter in Words of Radiance was from Frost to Hoyd.
Yep. Yes. And that's when we knew about Frost being an old reptile. Turns out is a dragon. So it makes sense. Yep. And that's when we got the mention of the 17th Shard.
Yes. Yeah. Hoyd says, I am being chased. You're friends of the 17th Shard, I suspect. And then in the second letter, Frost says, leave that place and join me in my oath of non-intervention. The Cosmere itself may depend upon our restraint.
And that, I would imagine he's basically the leader or a very important person there.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
clearly,
if Hoyd's writing you a letter, you're probably a pretty big deal.
Probably.
I would imagine Frost had something to do with, the shattering itself. So
potentially,
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like in some respect. There's. Do we have anything else to say on that one?
I don't think so.
No.
Like we're gonna do more podcasts where we talk about world hoppers and theorize more about them. We're just trying to give an overview here.
That's like the last. This is like definitely one of the secret societies that Brendan's talking about here. Like,
no question.
Yeah, we have a few others that we'll discuss that potentially might be on that list, but maybe not.
Yeah, another world hopping organization is the Eyrie from Mistborn Secret History, who are from Cell.
Yes.
Clearly.
They
are
are
Aelon. They are Aeonic.
Yes.
They're from Elantris.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yes.
They might predate Aerolon.
Which
it's not clear where when those Elantrians were related in relation to.
They're very, 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 very old.
So I feel like we should talk about this quick. Because I feel like when we all opened our like planning document, we're like, wait a second, the Eyrie? Roshar? What?
Yes.
So
Yep.
I'm guessing there's other people out there who do not know the connection here.
If you remember the lighthouse keeper that Kaladin meets
Yep.
in Shadesmar at Eastern Connecticut Emerald City Comic-Con, Brennan was talking about that scene and how originally Kaladin met the lighthouse keeper in Celebrant and then moved him to the lighthouse. And unprompted, Brennan refers to the guy as an Eyrie.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's up with that?
Crazy.
What?
I may have forgotten to put this on the Emerald City Comic Con episode. Sorry, guys. Might be my fault. I'm scanning through it really fast.
Oh man,
It's fine.
It's easy to miss because it's not about
It's
that.
embedded in there. Yeah, right.
Mhm.
But yeah, I guess they are there. I mean, it makes sense. They're clearly a world hopping organization. So
It's just, we don't know if they're like actively involved with events on Roshar, or is this just one guy who happens to be a member of the Order and living in Shadesmar?
it's very difficult to say.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
I feel like we're pretty certain that this guy was not actually a full-blown Elantrian. Because Kaladin talked about he thought he was Shin from the eyes, but I feel like if this guy had had silver skin and features, that would have come up in the description.
Brennan has...
Galadon doesn't.
That's true.
It's like, Brennan has said that,
true.
like, if you, like, get far away from Elantris, like, you look normal.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Like-
didn't know that. See,
Yeah.
y'all know so much more about the Cosmere than I do.
Mostly Ian.
I know things about
learning
Elantris because, like,
Okay.
Eyrie is the organization I would want to be a part of.
There we go. We're all,
hey, we all
taking-
have our secret society.
It's like,
There we
what do
go.
you have a name like mine that is literally an Aeon? Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
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 but so we do know that he is an Elantrian because Brandon has said that this lighthouse keeper is also the Elantrian that like Raoden and people like put into the pool and dissolves during the events of Elantris. Our so very beautiful friend.
Did he say that? I totally forgot.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
I
I
this
should
is
read
another
about
thing
this
that
again
Brennan
at
like
some point.
says unprompted that is just like, what?
Patchy's
all
a
these-
shard.
All these questions that, like, if someone had asked him directly, would totally have been Raphoed. And then Brandon's like, oh yeah, you know that Eyrie who was the one from the pool. And you're like, what?
Well, in Brandon's brain, he's probably
It's
like,
yeah, it was
those
obvious. You guys
starters,
didn't get that.
those starters have figured all this stuff out.
Yeah.
You know,
Even though like it's not physically or not
Brandon.
cognitively possible, like
You dropped
Make
these
those
things
connections.
on us.
I like the time a few years ago where he just says, "Oh yeah, there's 3 planets on the Rosharan system. You guys know about Braze, right?" I'm like, this was before Words of Radiance came out. This is 2013, and we're like, "Can you spell these planet names for us, Brandon?"
that we
That's
that we
fine.
definitely know about, Brandon, please.
Like, Brandon, I would really like to know the spelling of
we
these.
just,
Like,
we
I'm
just
pretty
need
sure
to
that's
check
what it is.
our Coppermind articles that we
I
have
was there.
already
I was
definitely
there.
written.
He
Brandon,
clearly knew I was
please,
there.
Please spell it for us.
Anyway, we should probably do a podcast on the Eyrie. Like, that stuff's crazy.
Good.
yeah.
Then some other societies on our list. Maybe the Stone Shamans count?
Mm-hmm. It's like they're kind of like the religious leaders of Shinovar. They
Who
have the honor blades.
which is crazy. And if Zeth lost the honor blades, they would go get him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
Zeth
like
also
he's
says-
confident that they could do it.
Yeah.
Very confident.
And Zeth said he practiced with many
All-
different
Every surge.
Oh yes, every surge. So apparently you can get they're training people in all of the surges. So
That's gonna be like, they're gonna be a big deal. And that's gonna be crazy too.
I know like they sent a message to Shinovar. I don't remember what the Shinovar said.
I don't think they responded in time, but
just thanked Dalinar for about his wedding. That was their only response.
Oh.
They totally avoided the question.
great.
Okay.
Good work.
I like
Oh,
the
man.
diplomacy stuff. That's my jam.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think the politicking
Good.
stuff's really well.
I
done.
loved it. It was
I
good.
know when people were reading Oathbringer, they're like, it's slow, but going from White Sand to Oathbringer, insane. It's insanely different. Loved it in Oathbringer. Anyway, Stone Shamans, that's a big deal. But we don't know much about them.
Shinjas, as we like to call them, too.
Yeah, we're probably not going to find out very much about them until Seth's flashback book.
Absolutely, yeah. Then we're going to get a lot of it. Because Seth's whole thing is, I'll serve Dalinar. I'd like to go back to Shinovar, and I don't think that's going to be book 4. I think that's going to be book 5, and I think that's going to be important there.
I mean, that's what he thinks a Skybreaker quest is going to be, to cleanse Shinovar.
Yep.
So,
then you have a few others on the Celestian.
Yeah. The Storm Wardens, which is a secretive group of male scholars that are not Ardents. So, it's weird in Vorinism. Like,
people don't trust him.
Yeah. And so, they kind of adapted the glyphs into a writing system, even though that's not really what they were designed for.
Yep. Storm Warden script.
Yeah, which is the Sons of Honor use it.
That's true. That is true. I don't know if there's like a secret organization of Storm Wardens, but they're kind of weird.
At the very least, they're a secretive society, but they're not. They are one of the secret societies.
Right.
And
then
they wanted Renarin to join them.
They did.
Oh,
and
that's true.
They're big on numerology.
Yeah. They think he could be a powerful addition to their ranks.
Numerology.
Yeah.
And he apparently went and asked them about predicting the future, is why he was talking about that. So,
Yeah. And basically, numerology used to be a really big thing in Vorinism, and then they're like, the hierarchy happened, and it's like, oh no, that's bad. And so it stopped being a thing. But now the Storm Wardens are doing it.
Yep. I feel like maybe Storm Wardens aren't on the list because I imagine there's just some Ririn secret society group that we haven't seen, right?
Yeah.
In Western Roshar, because we really have seen so little of Western Roshar, really.
Yeah.
That I don't think we're going to get till we get Lift's flashbacks, right? Practically speaking.
Probably.
Maybe not.
Because, I mean, I think that's where we're going to see old Elarim, because that's where she grew up. So. And then you have this last one here, New Radiance.
Yes.
Again.
So, I know there's another word Brennan out there where it seems to imply that Brennan considers the New Radiance as one of these secret societies. But I have this one. Dragon 13 asked, have we seen any character who is part of multiple secret organizations? For example, the Ghostbloods and the Sons of Honor. Yes, you have. I have a big cop-out there because you know of one who is in the Ghostbloods and the Lightweavers. You give me opportunities and I will answer truthfully. So, here he seems like...
Yeah.
I guess if you were to say, what groups of people on Roshar are in the know? I guess our protagonists are those. We do have access to the Stormfather and do know things, I guess.
I feel like Yasna is kind of a secret society unto herself.
Well, actually, Versatilians maybe are considered one, but that's more an organization of scholars.
That seems like a scholarly discipline, yeah.
But it's kind of on the list, I would say, of potentials. But if we include Storm Wardens and don't include New Radiance, we got to 9. So with the New Radiance, that would be 10. But there's maybe a Ririn one, so maybe not Storm Wardens. But hopefully you feel like we got a good overview of all of the secret societies. We're going to dig more in depth on a lot of these as things progress. Maybe in book 4 when we get more Ghostblood stuff.
Hey!
And not that I know, I don't know that. I'm hoping that there will be more Ghostblood stuff, and it better be in the next book.
Yes. More secret societies. They're fun. They're great.
No, we don't need too many more.
Not
maybe
more societies, but we want to see more of them.
Oh, okay.
We want to see more of the ones we have.
That's importantly different.
Yes. Clarification.
Yeah. Any last thoughts on these?
I don't think so.
We've covered most of it.
Well, you know what time it is, guys. It's time for Who's that Cosmere character?
Who's that Cosmere character?
All right, guys. This first one is from Gator Girl, Grace, and all right, are you guys ready for this
I
one?
am ready with my pen and paper.
All right.
Frick, I am so
Yeah,
not ready. I'm gonna fail all
right.
of these.
All right. Clue 1. This character is a returned.
So we each get one guess per clue.
Per clue, yeah.
Okay.
You do not have to guess.
Are we
You don't have to
guessing?
guess.
Are we guessing out loud, or are we writing them down?
You can guess
We're
them
guessing
out
out loud.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can guess them out loud.
I'm gonna go for Shashara just to be out there.
No.
I am going to go with Hope Finder the something or other. I don't remember.
I don't think that's Hope Finder's title, but no.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. This character's colors are maroon and white.
Oh. It's not Mercy Star because she's orange, yellow.
You're doing better than I would have done on this, Alex. Like,
I
don't
I'm gonna
recently
guess-
read Warbreaker to my housemates.
Is it All Mother?
No.
I'm gonna go with Weather Love.
No.
Oh.
This character votes on issues of international trade.
Oh gosh, dang it! I feel like this is like a one-off return who was mentioned once.
I think so. Oh.
Probably one of the guys that Lightsong plays Tarachin with.
Clue 4. This character plays Terrashin with Lightsong.
Come on, that totally counts. I got it right. Dang it, it was there.
No, because I
I don't
didn't get it
remember
when there's
their
like the
name.
guy that punches Demo.
Oh,
It's like you have to have their name.
There's multiple people who play.
there's
Terrashin
like
with
3 of
Lightsong.
them there.
Yeah, that is not specific enough.
I don't think I'm gonna get the name.
It's been too long since I read Warbreaker.
No, clue 5. This character is the god of nature.
God of nature. Oh,
Something call? Truth call?
Yes, it is Truth Call. Damn! Holy crap!
Oh my, I think I remembered it because I always thought it was funny that he had the call of nature.
oh my god.
I thought for sure.
I not believe.
Grace, I know you're listening. I would not have gotten this ever. That is impressive.
Oh my god. FeatherWriter,
All right.
the returned.
Damn. All right.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready for another one?
Yes.
And then we'll call it.
Mhm.
Hint 1. This character is Rosharan.
Oh god, there's a bajillion.
Pick one of the 500.
Renarin. Okay, here we
No.
go. Let's be predictable.
I'm gonna go with Rushu.
Ooh,
The
No.
I like
Okay.
Rushu.
Oh, this one is from Matt Shore, so thank you for this. Hint 2. This character is killed by a shard blade.
King Hanavinar.
No. That's a good one, though. Technically, he's killed by an honor blade, so, you know.
This is big.
Honor blades or shard blades?
No, I know.
I'll go with Tin. The
No.
con woman, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Hint 3. You're going to get it here.
Okay.
Truth Watcher.
Oh, Yeem!
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Over the other
And hint 4 was Iriali, and hint 5 was really likes shoes.
Oh,
Okay.
I know all of the Truth Watchers.
Well
You cannot
done,
slip them
Alex.
past me.
Well done, Alex, on Truth Call. Holy
Hey!
crap, that return knowledge.
I cannot believe I pulled that out.
You know what? I'm gonna look. Because Grace is mean because she's Coppermine staff, so
Right.
like she
I also guessed that it was one of the ones at the Terrachin game too. I
Yeah,
feel like
you
I get
did.
credit for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Well done. I'm curious if you guys mentioned. No, you guys didn't mention all of the returned. There were several other returned. But you got a lot. You got All Mother,
Mercy Star,
Mercy Star, Hope Finder,
Weather
Calm Seer.
The 5
Calm
scholars
Seer.
were all
Yep.
returned technically.
Yep. But there's others like Kindwinds and Life Blesser and Mirth Giver and Peace Yearning.
Wait.
Did you say Kindwinds?
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 Look, we're ending this podcast.
And to
Look,
sum it all up, the Sons
I'm
of Honor are
tired.
the worst. Roastcast.
Or the diagrams
Roastcast.
or the diagramists are the worst.
So Secret
Also,
Society's
we-
got issues.
We don't have a.
I would argue that the diagramists are better than Sons of Honor because they actually do stuff.
Oh snap!
Burn.
That's true. Well, you don't know what's how Gavilar got that black sphere. Still,
That's
Bide
true.
and
That's true.
They must have done something at some
Bide and
point.
Mishram. But one last thing with the diagram. I'm annoyed we don't have a very good name for who are in the diagram as an organization.
Diagramists?
I
Has
don't think
Brandon
it's not
used that
canon.
word?
I'm pretty
think that's-
sure.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's in the books.
It's not in the books.
It's half canon.
Nope. It's not an Arcanum.
No.
Brandon, give us a term. I think
It's not
he
an
just
Arcanum.
calls the people the diagram too, which does not
Yeah.
work well for individuals.
No.
I'm a diagram. You're a diagram.
same thing.
I am a member of the diagram.
Yeah,
Yeah.
member of the diagram.
That doesn't roll off the tongue. Anyway, I hope you liked this one. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe. See us on 17shard.com for all of our non-world hoppy goodness, because we're not actually the world hopping organization, but we will study the Cosmere and discuss the Cosmere. Come discuss with us. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Caw.